Thank you, Lloyd. And now I'll call upon Mayor Guthrie to say a few words.
Well, thank you very much, Colleen, and thank you very much, everyone, for being here today, and for you, Lloyd, and thank you so much. It's always good to see you, especially when you're making a funding announcement.
Yeah, that's right.
So that's great. I also want to thank not just yourself, but obviously the Government of Canada and also FCM as well, as you mentioned in your remarks for this funding. This is not the first time that Lloyd has been here to bring funding announcements related to climate change or environmental sustainability to our city, and so thank you for being a strong advocate for Guelph and Ottawa, Lloyd. We very much appreciate it on behalf of the citizens of Guelph. The two projects that Lloyd mentioned already today both relate to the city's fleet of vehicles. And these are the cars and trucks that you see out on the road every day delivering services to our citizens and to the businesses across our city. The fleet is a major part of our city operations. Day in and day out, it includes 26 vehicles and about 70 light duty trucks. And it represents a major opportunity to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, improve the environment, and fight climate change. Now, the first project is a study that would evaluate two different things: transitioning a portion of our fleet over to electric vehicles and moving a portion of the electrified fleet or other options for our other fleet into a car sharing service. Now, according to city staff, our fleet fuels, which is the gasoline and diesel, account for about 28% of our city's energy spending and 66% of our greenhouse gas emissions. Now, the ultimate goal of this project is to reduce greenhouse gas emissions by 20% from that baseline. And so this study would be that first step towards achieving that goal. The project involves placing basically devices inside the vehicles that will collect data as the vehicles are out and about and driving around the city. It will measure things like starts and stops and speed and braking distances and the distance traveled and so on. In fact, they're very similar to what many people have in their cars now for insurance purposes. But this data will be analyzed and used and shed a lot of light on the feasibility of making our fleet a lot more electrified. And then it would also determine what type of vehicles that we could use to electrify our fleet as well. And of course, that would reduce our emissions. The second part of the study, though, will involve looking at the feasibility of moving a portion of our overall fleet into a car sharing service. Now, the idea is that some of our fleet vehicles would be used outside of business hours by car share members. There would be a number of benefits to a move like this. It would maximize the use and benefit of a city asset. It would reduce emissions and reduce the city's share of the capital and operating costs of vehicles. Now, we'll have to wait while this study is being done, and then we'll accumulate the data and figure out whether or not this is a good move or not. But I can say that from the buzz around City Hall and what I've done a little bit of research on, this is a great opportunity for us to be using these vehicles outside of the regular sort of business hours when they're just sitting around anyways. Now, this is all about protecting the environment, and now we want to talk about the second one that's going to be at Municipal Street, where our operations headquarters is for a lot of the operations for our city. Now, this one is a little bit different. So right now there are a number of actual underground fuel storage tanks at the Public Works Department on site on Municipal Street, and that's both for gasoline and for diesel. And what we want to do is we want to install new above ground tanks and then decommission the existing ones that are underground. Now, the funding announced today is for the environmental investigations and the assessments of those underground tanks. We want to find out if there's any leaks or any environmental impacts so that we can address those and prevent anything further happening in the future. So with the funding, the city will now be conducting environmental site assessments, the tank closure assessments, the source water protection assessment, and staff will be doing full risk management plans for the site. Now, our environmental engineering staff have told me that this goes above and beyond what is required when decommissioning such underground tanks. So we're really going the extra mile here to identify any issues if there are any, and we're going to address them. This is all about protecting our soil, our groundwater, and the overall environmental health of that site on Municipal Street. So once again, Lloyd, thank you very much to you, to the federal government, to FCM for the support of these types of projects in our city. You've heard me say many times that municipalities are at the front lines of climate change, and the city's fleet of vehicle is a perfect example of that. By changing how we do things when it comes to our fleet, we can make a major impact in the fight against climate change. These projects will help us reduce greenhouse gas emissions and protect and improve soil, water, and the air quality we have for our citizens and businesses in this city. I understand that staff have also committed to sharing what they're learning through these studies with other municipalities. And I've often said we are stronger when we work together, and this is a great example of Guelph taking a lead to share the data with others that may want to go down the same road, no pun intended, when it comes to these types of projects. I also really want to thank staff. We've talked about the stakeholders, and so obviously we have the political stakeholders involved, but staff are there, our frontline people, identifying these needs, reaching out, looking for these types of funds and these opportunities for our city. So I really want to thank staff for what they've done on bringing that type of leadership to the table as well. And with that, I want to thank you very much, and I'll turn it back over to Colleen. Have a good rest of the day. Thank you very much.